Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Subspace AppSync. I'm Arthur. Thanks for joining us again. This is October 18th, 2022. Let's get started. Great job, everyone. We got quite a few tickets done in the done column. First up, add data compression. Serge and Ivan.
Yeah, I think Ivan can explain better than me.
Yeah. So basically, we've added the snappy compression to the front end. So basically, right now we have a separate flag which front end sends the request with the flag set, so that we would utilize the data compression, so that so that we could save some bandwidth, yeah, on our telemetry server. But actually, right now, it doesn't bring like any significant effect for the bandwidth. Yeah, I will spend some more time this week like discovering the how much entropy does like our responses from the telemetry have, and what like compression format we can use. Yeah. So we probably can like reopen the issue again, but the pull request was merged. So yeah.
Okay, great. Wait, just a quick question. Is this related at all to the connection issues that Nazar was pointing out to earlier? I know you responded saying that you haven't seen anything, so.
No, it's not connected, I believe.
Okay. Cool.
Question on that.
Thanks.
What is that going to give us? What's that going to unlock for us or open up?
Yeah, sorry, yeah. I should have started with the we've actually discussed like telemetry with Nazar like last week, and he pointed out that we are actually spending like a lot of money on the bandwidth, like sending data from the telemetry to the users, to the front end. So I thought of maybe like enabling data compression from the back end to front end. Yeah, so I thought that like the data which is sent to the front end, it can be like compressed a lot, but it actually like at least it wasn't true for the snappy compression. So yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Yes, sorry. Also, like Nazar pointed out that the most of the costs wasn't the VPS which we rent, but actually the bandwidth which we use. Yeah.
Okay. On to the next one. Add subsequent archive, README, and Docker compose.
Yeah, so as I mentioned yesterday on DevSync, we deployed Subsquid archive, which stores the raw data from Gemini 2A, which is our current testnet. And this is PR to add Docker compose and some README on deployment to our infrastructure repository. So currently it's deployed on one of our droplets on DigitalOcean, and we are using this Docker compose.
Awesome. Thanks for doing that. And then just to follow up there, I'll be talking to designer later today to kind of start queuing up our front end work for this, and also filling out the form to get us onto the public archive, which is Aquarium. We can talk more about that later. Add Hyacine node count to telemetry UI. I think this is Serge.
Yeah, could you please click on the PR? There is a
Yes.
screenshot, so it will be more self-explanatory. Yeah, we added the new component, and on the backend, Ivan implemented that we store the value, and on the UI, we just show the value from the backend. That's all.
Awesome. And I think we've notified marketing, so they're aware of this. So thanks for getting that done. Next up, Trail of Bits audit number 5. I feel like we went over this last week, but maybe I'm wrong. Oskin? Search?
We probably went over it, but it was not closed. Actually, we can tick the item of one file system. It was remaining. We finished those for all. So now all the file system related functions are now properly scoped, and we are not prone to any XSS attacks.
Okay, perfect. And I think this was the last issue, and then so we're ready to go ahead and well, actually, we have update dependencies too, but
that is the last issue.
we can go over
We
quickly.
may talk about that a bit because I believe it should be useful to talk about it when you contact with the audit team, Arthur. So two dependencies remained unresolved, like unzterm and XML-RS. These are unmaintained. Some of the issues are still open for those. These are indirect dependencies, so it's not up to us to change the dependencies for them. But the good news is these are not security issues. These are just unmaintained. So it was just, I believe, as a side note, as a good to have. So I opened another issue about this. It's in the triage. We can track these in that issue, and they also, Trail of Bits also suggested us to do so. So I believe these two should not be a blocker for the audit.
Okay, great. So I think then going forward, let's after this call, we'll talk to Trail of Bits and we'll mention that we have everything resolved except for these two dependencies and explain why, and then we'll just queue up time and go from there.
Yes,
Cool.
and bottom of this issue I explained, and also in the triage issue I explained why these are not blockers.
Okay, perfect. Thanks for doing that.
No problem.
Yeah, small note on front-end related dependencies. So I'm left a comment. So we cannot resolve them because they're also not direct dependencies, but they are dev dependencies of some of the packages. So they are not used in the, they are not going into the final bundle that client downloads. So
Okay.
it shouldn't be a blocker as well.
All right. Perfect. Okay, so then, all right, I'll queue up a message for all this and I'll CC you both, and then we'll just coordinate with Trail of Bits from after this point. Okay, cool. This is related to number 5, which is front and back end privilege separations.
Yeah.
All right, awesome. All right, let me open this for later, so I remember. And then I'm going to archive all the cards, so you know that I've done this. Cool, awesome. In progress, limit updates on number of nodes. I think should this have been closed, Ivan? Or?
Yeah, it was actually merged. Yeah, last week we finalized it with Nazar. Yeah, it was reviewed. Yeah, finally.
Okay. Wait, that okay, perfect. I'm going to do this again. Okay, also this is done. So I gotta close this one. I merged this in last week, but this pretty much, well, I didn't merge this. I need to merge this, but this is the contributor workflow. Justin, if you can take a look at it. But pretty much I just removed the GitHub workflow since I think it's kind of buggy. And then I just linked to our contributor graph on the GitHub repository. Okay, cool.
Is that for Subspace docs?
Yeah, it's for Subspace docs, yeah.
Okay.
So, just review it, and then I think we should be good to go on this one.
Okay.
We talked about export node lists. We can get back to that later. We talked about Space Pledge before in the last couple of weeks. Set up Nginx with Let's Encrypt for a subsquid archive. You want to talk about that a little bit, Serge? Just need to.
Yeah, so for production, if we're going to use this GraphQL endpoint, we need to set up Nginx and HTTPS. But for now, like for prototyping, we're good. So I just created an issue so we don't forget about this.
Okay. All right, perfect. Then let's start looking at that in like maybe next week. But okay, that sounds good. Implement Subspace CLI farm. Özkan, I assigned this to you, but now that we have the initial SDK out from Ivan, I think it's time we can start implementing this. I'm assuming that probably you and Ivan will need to coordinate to make sure that the API provides everything you need, but let's use this as our starting ticket.
Sure, and I have time, so I can start this as soon as tomorrow.
Okay, perfect. Ivan, you have any other comments on that? Otherwise, I think we can just work off that PR.
No comments about that, but yeah, I just genuinely wanted to ask about the priorities, about the SDK building, etc.
Yeah, so for Q4, this is going to be our priority. Top priority is going to be the SDK and CLI. following up with any telemetry support that's ongoing. So, that's just going to be a continued support mechanism for our team. But otherwise, STK and CLI are going to be a priority. A second track of work that's going to be another priority for Serge, and of course Natasha when she comes back, is going to be the Block Explorer. That currently is waiting on the designer, as I mentioned earlier on. But those are kind of our two large streams of work that we have.
Thanks. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. I think the last one, we talked about this briefly. Keep track of the following unmaintained indirect dependencies. I'm gonna pull.
I don't think we should put it into inbox. I say we should put it into backlog because we cannot do anything active on that.
Okay, I will move it back to the backlog, but I'm gonna use this as a way for me to remind myself to send a message to Trilobits right after this. So
Sure,
at least we
okay.
can get that conversation started and then make sure we can queue up.
All right.
Okay. So yeah, backlog and blocked, as I mentioned, most of them are related to Subspace desktop work. So once we're finished the audit, we can start revisiting those. But for now, we'll just leave those as is. That's it for the board this week. Is there any other comments, questions, or discussions we would like to have? Okay. There's nothing. As I mentioned, next week when Natasha gets back, we'll use this meeting next week to go over the board and talk a little bit about our Q4 priorities and also start scoping out more work on the Block Explorer. Okay. Well, if that's it, then thanks everyone for watching and see you all next week.